Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Emerald Coast. We are a covenantal community founded on loving kindness and a common devotion to our free faith. I'm the Reverend Ruth Van Lillian, and I'm honored to serve as the minister here. My pronouns are she, her. I want to welcome those visiting with us today. We are so glad that you're here, and we offer a welcome to those who are joining us virtually as we stream the service. As a part-time contract minister, I cannot be with you as often as I would like in person, but you are all on my mind and heart today as you gather to lift up what is worthy and sacred in our lives. Whatever you brought with you today, joy, sorrow, celebration, anxiety, hope, righteous anger, questions, oh, so many questions. You are welcome here, and you are in good company. May you all find spiritual refreshment and restoration in our service today.
Well, good morning. I'm Shar Farley. I'm a member of this fellowship and your service leader this morning. If you're visiting us today, we welcome you and invite you to stay after our service for light refreshments and coffee at the rear of the sanctuary. At about 11:15, our second hour of religious exploration for both the children and adults will follow. There are two adult discussion groups today and porch swing that will meet at the front of this sanctuary. And today, our speaker, Amanda Pyburn, will be leading the discussion on what you heard from her this morning. What impressed you, just how your response to it. And then in the library, Melissa Howlett, one of our members, will be leading our Buddhist Unitarian group. We call it the Buddhistarians. And there's no need for any prior experience or knowledge about Buddhism. That's what we do. We explore it. And so that's in the library right over there. The children, of course, will have their own program during this hour and will be meeting in their classrooms with their teacher. Also, read your order of service very carefully because there are some important announcements in it and about activities and services that are coming up. And now, the prelude will set us for the service.
We're debating who gets to do this. Will our chalice lighter please come up? Let this chalice be a reminder to us that the sun rose again this morning. No thanks to us, and all for us, and so we live. For several months last spring, Reverend Ruth held an online sermon writing class that a number of us took. We had Joshua Moore and myself from our congregation, and then 4 people from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Bay County in Panama City. Every week, we got together on Zoom. We talked about what makes a good sermon and the difference between a sermon and a lecture. Some of us are kind of used to writing lectures, and that was like, oh, we had to work on that one. We really had a wonderful time. So if it comes up again, I highly recommend it. In fact, I got an email this week from Reverend Erica Hewitt, who wrote the book, The Shared Pulpit, that we were working from, and she's about to offer the same thing online, kind of nationwide, and is looking for participants, hoping to find 2 people from different congregations so that they can support each other locally as well as being on Zoom. So if you're at all interested, let me know and I can get you the information. So in the next few months, you'll be hearing the talks that came out of this writing course, starting with mine today, and then we were hoping to have Chris May from Panama City next week. She did give her talk, but they were not able to get it recorded. So that will come later. They're hoping to redo it for us. And in the meantime, Joshua Moore is stepping up, so he will be the speaker next week, which is why it's not listed in your order of service. There was a bit of a scramble there. And we'll sprinkle the rest throughout the coming year, maybe once a month. We learned a lot about ourselves and each other, and we hope that it will help you learn about yourself as well. Please stand as you're able for our opening hymn, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," number 16 in the gray hymnal. It's very short, so we'll sing it through twice. And now it's time for Will Chelton. The children, yes. How can we forget the children? Please, your children are invited to come forth, and Miss Amanda has a great story for you today. So you can sit in here in the front so you have a good seat. And pictures of the story will be shown on the screen. I'm going to stay up here at the microphone because I need both hands to handle this one. This is actually like a riddle book. It's going to need some guessing. It does say time for all ages, so everybody can participate. Here's how it works. It's going to show you an object and ask you what's inside, which doesn't exactly mean literally inside. It could be, what can you make from it? What is its potential? For example, the title, In the Fiddle, is a song. It's not really hiding inside the fiddle, right? But it's what you make with a fiddle. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to start a sentence like, in the fiddle is a, and that's when you guess. So don't guess early. You have to hold it in your head until, because it's a lift the flap book. So when I lift the flap for the, just before, when I pause, you guess, and then I'll lift the flap and show you the answer. So In the acorn is a, there you go, that's the idea, is a tree waiting to grow tall. In the clay is a, oh, a lot of good guesses. Brick, bowl, in this case, the author said. In the clay is a pot waiting to be shaped. Here's a hard one. In the grass is a, ooh, somebody got it. I did not guess it. In the grass is a nest waiting to be built. Oh, very good. Sandy gets the prize. In the wheat is, I hope not. In the wheat is bread waiting to be baked. You know this one. In the fiddle is a, I wonder how you knew that, is a song waiting to be played. In the thread, close, is a weaving waiting to be spun. But she did weave a blanket out of it, so I think that would count. In the cloud is a storm waiting to bring rain. In the blossom is a, they like wood. In the blossom is a plum waiting for the sun. In the larva is, that was an easy one, is a butterfly waiting to unfold. In you is a lot of good things. What else? A friend? Maybe an athlete, a scientist, so many things in you. Well, in you is a story waiting to be told, because you kind of have to write your own story as you grow up and keep growing up and keep growing up, because we still do. So your story, it's not something that happens to you, it's what you create out of it. That story is in you, waiting to be told, and you're the ones who have to tell it. Thanks for listening.
You are invited to come forth and feel free to share a special event in your life. It could be a joy, a concern, or an important milestone. State your name. Now, let's pause for a moment in silent prayer or meditation, and afterwards I will close with some words from Helen Butterworth. Focus on what makes you happiest, and you will be happier. Focus on sadness, and you will be more sad. It can be that simple. It is your choice. Our fellowship is supported by your pledges and donations. If you're paying your pledge today with a check, please write pledge on the memo line. We have a tradition in this fellowship to share half of the cash and undesignated checks we received with a local charitable organization. This month, we are giving to Youth Village in Fort Walton Beach. Its mission is to provide a safe place for preschool children ages 3 to 5 and school-aged children in grades kindergarten through 8th. Supportive mentors, teachers, and other caring individuals help the children to acquire, to have a love of learning and a desire to achieve. Please be as generous as you are able. And will the greeters now come forth to accept the donations? Our speaker this morning, Amanda Pyburn, is no stranger to those who are members in this congregation. She's been a member for about 30 years now and has held many different positions in our fellowship, including those at the present time as chairperson of the Religious Services Committee, choir member, and volunteer in our children's exploration curriculum. So it's my pleasure to welcome Amanda to our pulpit this morning.
A poem by Mary Oliver. It's not my track, I say, seen the ball of the foot and the wide heel and the naily untrimmed toes. And I say again for emphasis, to no one but myself, since no one is with me, this is not my track. And this is an extremely large foot. I wonder how large a body must be to make such a track. I am beginning to make bad jokes. I have read probably 100 narratives where someone saw just what I am seeing. Various things happen next, a fairly long list, I won't go into it. But not one of them told what happened next. I mean, before whatever happens. How the distances light up. How the clouds are the most lovely shapes you have ever seen. How the wildflowers at your feet begin distilling a fragrance different and sweeter than any you have ever stood upon before. How every leaf on the whole mountain is a flutter. You didn't expect her poem to end that way, did you? I didn't. Clearly, she survived meeting the bear. We can probably agree it was likely a bear, right? She likely wasn't mauled. Maybe the bear never even appeared. Or maybe, and this is the one I was expecting, maybe she suddenly heard a rustling, a crackling of branches, a snuffling sound, and the bear stepped out of the bushes. She yelled and waved her arms, looking large and aggressive, and it slowly turned and lumbered away. But what actually happens with the bear isn't the story Mary Oliver wanted to tell. Instead, she concentrates on how abruptly her focus changed, how she suddenly noticed what she hadn't even paid attention to before. Has that ever happened to you? There's so much we have no control over, like bear tracks on a trail. But you can control your own story by shifting your perspective, changing your attitude, narrowing or widening your focus. Which memories will you dwell on long after the event? Which scenes will you just cut from your screenplay and let fall to the floor? Mary Oliver left behind the trauma of seeing bear tracks. She brought with her the sharpened awareness we have in times of crisis. She chose to tell her story as one not of fear, but of enlightenment and growth. We all tell stories about our lives, to each other, but more importantly, to ourselves. The way we shape that personal narrative arc affects not only how we think about ourselves now, but the decisions we make and the future we envision for ourselves. Of course, we all have many plot lines in our lives, including many memories, good and bad. The memories we choose to dwell on affect us for better or for worse. If I were to tell you my story, or at least one of my many plot lines, the events I choose to include would show my development as a relaxed and flexible and easygoing person. It may or may not be true. I could just as easily pick events that show myself as just the opposite, a rigid perfectionist with all the trouble that leads to. I could tell you, for example, about my process for writing back in high school. I would sit on the floor, paper in lap, pencil in hand, and just think and think and think until the exact, perfect right word came to mind and I could write it down. As you can imagine, this could easily take all day and accomplish not very much. I could also tell about the day we were wrapping Christmas presents at the kitchen table, and I was doing this elaborate weaving of different colored ribbons on a package. It was not going well. Those shiny ribbons kept sliding out of place, and I well remember the anger boiling up in me. I could tell about stomach pains I used to get. Mysterious at first, but then I came to know they were just my worry pains, nothing to worry about, that tended to pop up when there was some social situation I wouldn't measure up. But those are not stories I choose to focus on. They are not useful to me. Dwelling on them could make me think I'm the kind of person who can't be flexible, who can't handle unexpected events. It would make me more nervous and less able to cope. That's not who I want to be. According to Dr. John Winslade of California State, certain stories can be painful or problematic. Narrative therapy helps us create better, more productive stories. I had never heard of narrative psychology, but when I ran across that quote, I was intrigued and looked a little further. Here's what I found. Narrative psychology supports our becoming the experts in our own lives. We step outside ourselves to observe our memories from a distance. If a problematic story, like perfectionism or anxiety or body image, or there are tons of them, right? We all have them. If it seems intractable, it affects the decisions you make for your future. You need to challenge that problem by considering alternative story arcs. So, re-examining my own life, I find and emphasize the exceptions to the rule of rigid perfectionism. I can use those memories to rewrite, to make a more empowering, positive story that foretells a happier, healthier future for myself. So instead of those uncomfortable memories, I might instead tell you about a Halloween where I took fabric left behind by previous owners on a closet shelf, dyed it lavender, took the scissors, and just started cutting without measuring, without much of a plan. I just dove in. It became Katie's favorite costume for years. Maid Marian of Robin Hood. At 39, she still has part of it. I could also choose to tell you how I garden with abandon. Plants come up where I did not put them, and I let them stay. Sometimes it looks a little wild, but I just call it my blooming buzz and confusion, and it's good. If it has a flower, it's okay. I eyeball when a picture is straight on the wall, no level. Would drive Ned crazy. And I'm even learning to ignore dust. That's hard. Heaven knows living with Ned's progressing dementia helped teach me to let go of expectations and accept whatever good came our way. Same with teaching first graders. Flexibility is vital. Nothing ever comes out the way you expected. So these memories fit my preferred narrative arc of a person who is loosening up and enjoying life more over the years. It's the person I would rather be, the one I want to keep on becoming. It's not that I'm ignoring or changing my past. It's all a part of me. But I can look back and choose to notice the scenes that reinforce the kind of person I want to be. Those are the memories that serve me better. No matter how destructive your issues may be, you can surely find at least one time when you acted in a positive, healthy way. You went for a walk instead of grabbing the ice cream. Can be small and simple. But if you can find one, you can probably find more. Look for them and develop a story with a positive arc, one that will help you make better decisions and look forward to your future. So all of that was talking about plot line. But stories have more than just plots, don't they? They have characters. In your personal story, obviously, the main character is you. But who is that? Aren't we different people in different situations, with different companions, in different places? Writer Joan Didion, who wrote her autobiographical story, The Year of Magical Thinking, says, "The idea that whoever appeared on stage would play not me, but a character, was central to imagining how to make my narrative. I would need to see myself from outside. I would need to locate the dissonance between the person I thought I was and the person other people saw." That last line really struck me. Who do other people think I am? Who do other people think you are? I am actually kind of shy and insecure, more likely to observe and analyze than participate, I am an excellent fly on the wall. When Ned and I were moving away from our first home here at Eglin Air Force Base, a teacher at my school said, "When you first came, we didn't know if you were stuck up or shy." I was horrified. They thought I was stuck up. I actually, at 21, had this idea that being a recent college graduate, I was supposed to know everything. I couldn't admit I needed the help of my more experienced colleagues. I was too shy to talk to them and admit I didn't know what I was doing. But I listened. When I began at my next school in Las Vegas, I made very sure that everyone I met, I greeted with a big smile and a hi, and kept going to ask what they were doing today and how are they doing it. I was the same person, really, but I tweaked that character so others could see the person that I thought I was, that I wanted to be. I've also found that since I like to stand up here as service leader or storyteller, when I'm reading words that have already been written and practiced, people think I'm outgoing and speak well. See the dissonance? That is not the me I know at all. If you ask me to speak off the cuff, I will be tripping all over my words. Go to porch swing, and I really struggle to find something to say. Put me in a group of strangers, I will likely escape. I have to push myself to go up and talk to people. But you may not know that. It's not the character that you're seeing on stage. Observing myself from externally, thinking of myself as a character, showcasing different facets of herself on different stages is helpful. Can I be vocal and outgoing for a little while? Well, sure, because when I'm done, I get to go home and be quiet and alone and recover. Religion, of course, can play a big part in how we go about improving ourselves and finding that inner peace. I know a lot of you meditate. Many of you believe in a higher power and ask God to help you become a better person. We you use have a unique perspective. We aren't burdened by original sin and threats of hell. We look for wisdom any place it's found, not just in a single sacred text. We have no strict rules about what we should believe or how we should act, as long as we're trying to do good in the world. That idea of narrative psychology intrigues me, and like most you use, I pick and choose what's of value to me. If it helps, why not use it? So, take time to think about your life story. What memories hold you back, making you see yourself in a less than desirable light? Can you just set them aside? Which memories help you? Which ones do you want to focus on? When you concentrate on mainly the events supporting your difficult story, your problems, you're bound to be unhappy, unhealthy, and afraid to move forward. Instead, find those exceptions when you acted in a more positive way. I gave up braiding Christmas ribbon. Never again. If there's one positive example, I bet you can find more. Now you're developing an empowering story rather than a defeating one. Jonathan Adler, professor of psychology, said, "You're both the narrator and the main character of your story. That can sometimes be a revelation. Oh, I'm not just living out this story. I am actually in charge of the story." I heard an NPR interview with Mary Louise Kelly talking about her new book, It Goes So Fast, The Year of No Do-Overs. She said, "Life is what we choose to see." And I thought of Mary Oliver in her poem. She chose to see the remarkable nature around her, to focus on what makes her happy and optimistic. How many of us would instead have only focused on our fright at seeing bear tracks? Spent the rest of the hike looking at the ground, listening for rustles, and maybe never even gone back there again. So why not rethink your story? how do you want it told? How do you want others to see you? Act that part until it becomes a part of you. I leave you with a favorite quote I found from Julie Beck in an article in The Atlantic called Life Stories. She wrote, "A life story is written in chalk, not ink, and it can be changed." Thank you.
We're changing our story. Yes. Please join us and stand for our final hymn today. Thank you. Let us be humble. What a great theme. Number 19. Yeah. Oh, the sun will shine. Yeah. That's it. I'm sorry, I'm having many senior moments today, so bear with me.
I have no excuse.
Let us be humble. Let us be humble, for the worst thing in the world is of the same stuff as we are. Let us be confident, for we too are composed of the same stuff as the stars. Please remain seated for the postlude, and then afterwards, please join us for some light refresh. Coffee should be done by now.